Since 2006, Mattel, Disney, and Pixar have been creating one of the most comprehensive toy lines ever made, based on the Cars franchise. And in this series, I'll be going over the history of every single diecast in it. Hello everybody, and welcome back to yet another episode of Disney Cars Diecast History. Today we have part 4 for Mater history, and this will actually be the final part for Mater. You might be surprised to hear that, considering we have quite a bit of ground left to cover. Last time we talked about Cars 2, which means this time we still have the post-Cars 2 Expanded Universe, Cars 3, and the post-Cars 3 Expanded Universe, which includes Cars on the Road. But, in the grand scheme of things, there aren't all that many Maters left. Yeah, there are a lot of categories left to cover, but most of them, with the exception of Cars on the Road, only have a few Maters each, so I decided to group them all together here in one final video. Now, before we begin, as always, I'd like to thank these people on screen right here for providing me with footage for some of the Maters I didn't have. Thank you guys so much, as per usual. And also, as per usual, if you've never watched this series before, I would suggest pausing right here. This is the template that I use while discussing every single item in the series. If this is your first time watching it, it might be a good idea to familiarize yourself with how the series works. Anyway, with all that out of the way, let's begin with our first Mater. In 2012, the Cars Toon Time Travel Mater became the first piece of on-screen media to take place after Cars 2. This short, which is to this day the final Mater's Tall Tales episode, features Mater telling the story of how a clock once fell on him, giving him time travel powers, and he went back in time to help Stanley found Radiator Springs. This short was made to coincide with the Cars Land section of the Disney California Adventure Park, which opened the same day the short came out. So it's only fitting that our time travel Mater diecast was exclusive to Cars Land. In order to celebrate the 1-year anniversary of Cars Land in 2013, Mattel produced 2 special box sets based on the short, with one of them featuring Mater's design from Time Travel Mater, complete with the clock on him and everything. This Mater, as well as the other 2 cars in this pack, were all painted in sepia tone in reference to the sepia filter used during the past sections of the short. The limited run of this item and its exclusivity to the Disney parks has made it exceptionally rare nowadays. Not long after the Mater's Tall Tales ended, a new line of Cars Toons began called Tales from Radiator Springs. The short, the Radiator Springs 500½, released in 2014, had a pretty heavy merchandise push, and it was all about Lightning McQueen being challenged by a pack of off-road racers to a race on Stanley Day, a day where Radiator Springs commemorates its town founder. Off-Road Mater was released as part of this short's diecast line. It's a souped-up off-road version of Mater, complete with roof lights and an additional tow cable at his front end. But there's a problem. This Mater doesn't actually appear in the Radiator Springs 500½, short. Instead, while Lightning and the other cars are doing an off-road race, Mater dresses up as Stanley and guides the other Radiator Springs residents on a tour around the area. It's unknown why this Mater was chosen to be made instead of Mater's Stanley attire. Fans have speculated that it's simply because they thought an off-road Mater would sell better than a Mater dressed up as Stanley, but the Radiator Springs 500½ line would go on to release several Stanley Days variants of Radiator Springs cars. The reason for this Mater's existence is still unknown, but it certainly won't be the last time you see Mater strangely included in a line full of racers. That's called foreshadowing, take notes. In 2016, the Road Trip line would launch, a toy line exclusive concept featuring the cars of Radiator Springs in special vacation designs. Mater's design here is less practical vacation gear, more Mater covered himself with stickers like he was a suitcase. He's decked out in miscellaneous stickers for Radiator Springs locations, such as the Cozy Cone Motel, Casa del Tires, and Flo's VA Cafe, as well as a few other stickers, most of which are just taken from the Cars 1 background character Nick stickers. Road Trip Mater was also one of several Road Trip series items to receive a trailer release. Mater and Trailer features the exact same Mater from the single pack, but now with an openable plastic trailer. The trailer is decked out in license plate stickers and seems to have rusted away in a very similar way to our favorite tow truck. Every item in this series, regardless of if it was a single or packed with a trailer, would come with a trailer hitch attached so that they could connect to one. In 2017, we'd receive our first ever line of Easter diecasts based on the book Mater and the Easter Buggy. It's generally accepted that this book takes place before Cars 2, because the paint job McQueen uses is the look he has at the beginning of Cars 2, but since it is still Cars 2 adjacent, I thought the diecasts from this book would just fit better in this part of the series. Anyway, Easter Mater was part of the initial lineup in 2017. He's a pretty standard Mater that just has a unique facial expression and some eggs painted on his side. And he also came packed with his own Easter tire basket. A new Easter lineup would be released in 2024, featuring a re-release of Easter Mater now made in Thailand and released without his basket. What's most notable about this re-release, however, is that it's one of few Maters to feature the working tow hook design first made for a Mater in 2022. 2017 would see the release of Cars 3, and while Mater's role in this movie is certainly smaller than Cars 1 and 2, he still has a variety of new looks in it, wearing a different wacky hat to each of McQueen's races. Despite this, no new Maters from Cars 3 would be released this year, with just a regular Mater being re-released instead. That means that our first new Cars 3 Mater item is, wait for it, Splash Racers Mater. The Splash Racers were Cars 3's follow-up to the Hydro Wheels line, a line of plastic cars that could roll on water. They're slightly larger and also a whole lot louder, with all of them featuring some sort of gimmick that allows them to shoot water out of their backs while they move. 2018 would see the launch of the first ever Cars 3 Expanded Universe line, the Fireball Beach Racers. This was a line of cars, primarily race cars from Cars 3, covered in sand detailing due to a visit to Fireball Beach. Mater, Luigi, and Guido would also be released in this line. When Mater was first released, he simply just reused the design of his regular old diecast, now with a nice sandy overspray and sand detailing. However, a few months later, a running change would be made to this Mater, moving his eyes down a bit, causing him to have a slightly different expression. Finally, over a year after the release of Cars 3, we would receive our first Mater with hat variant. This being Mater with Lightning Bolt hat, released exclusively in an 11-pack. This item is simply too large and too wide to be released any other way, but it did cause a bit of controversy at the time, with a lot of people upset that a Mater was exclusive to a pack instead of whatever new Piston Cup racer they were hoping for. Mater with Lightning Bolt hat is a very unique item, not only because of the massive hat, which for the record is not removable, it's molded into him, but also because he uses a slightly different mold for regular Mater. You see, around late 2017 and 2018, Mattel was trying to update several of the main Radiator Springs characters to make them a bit more accurate to the movie, by making them match their Precision Series models a bit more. For whatever reason, this was done to Mater with Lightning Bolt hat. His face is pretty similar to his Precision Series release, he's shaped a little bit differently, has his back window sculpted in, and his tow hook is a bit larger and more reeled in, making this Mater not only unique because of the hat, but also because of how he looks in general. In early 2019, Mattel began the XRS toy line. The XRS, or Extreme Racing Series, is a series of races featuring Cars 3 racers competing in different events. There was the Mud Race, Drag Race, and Rocket Race, with all of these having extreme conditions, as the name implies. The Mud Race was the first line, and it featured a wave of several different racer characters, as well as, strangely, a wave of deluxes. The XRS Mud Race canonically took place at Thunder Hollow, and so in addition to the regular Piston Cup racers you would expect, they also made XRS Deluxes with Miss Fritter, RV, and yes, XRS Mater. This is a huge Mater. He and the other XRS Deluxes retailed for $10 when they came out. That's $3 more than a regular Deluxe. He is built-in suspension, and his model is also based on the Precision Series Mater design. It's crazy to think that Mater was involved in this event, but it wouldn't be the first time he competed at Thunder Hollow, or the first time he found himself in a race. The XRS Deluxes have become pretty forgotten by time, and no other XRS line would include a Deluxe series. The 2019 main line would finally release a Mater with hat as a single, with Mater with number 95 hat, released in the Florida 500 series. which is a bit of a strange choice considering Mater wears a piston cup hat to the Florida 500 and not this one. In fact, an even stranger choice is the fact that Mater doesn't wear this hat in the movie at all. In all the different races Mater appears at in Cars 3, this hat doesn't appear on him once. Instead, this is the hat that Mater puts on the junk sculpture of himself that he makes when Lightning calls him on the phone. Mater with number 95 hat would be the final attempt to replicate Precision Series Mater on a normal diecast. After this, they would just go back to making Maters the old way. In summer of 2019, the Target exclusive Fan Favorites line would launch, featuring the Radiator Springs cars wearing different Piston Cup memorabilia, supporting Lightning or Cruise or both. Mater's release in the series was called Team 95 Mater, and it features him wearing a Piston Cup hat, similar but not identical to the one he wears to the Florida 500 in the movie. While the Mater is just called Team 95 Mater, if you flip his hat around, you'll see that there's actually a 51 painted on the other side of the Piston Cup. But, despite this, the only way the hat properly fits into Mater is on the 95 side, and you can't flip it around and get it to fit in the other way. This hat accessory would be reused on Team 95 Sarge from the Fan Favorites line, who also features the same strange design choice. In 2021, the NASCAR line would begin, and alongside McQueen and several next gens, we would receive a few different pit crew variants with Luigi, Guido, and crew chief Mater. This Mater is painted fully red with a darker red engine, and is a very rare occasion of a Mater that isn't brand new Mater being painted just one color. His design was made to match McQueen and Luigi and Guido, and he actually uses a unique new Mater with headset mold instead of just reusing the Cars 2 Mater with headset mold. Although strangely, despite being released in 2021, this mold includes a mouth plate. For an accessory, Mater comes with a stack of tires, which are not at all the same as the ones McQueen wears in the NASCAR line, but A for effort, Mater. The Fan Favorites line was originally supposed to last longer than it did, with several cars being designed and unfortunately cancelled. But one of these cars was able to slip through the cracks. Team 95 and 51 Mater would make his way out as a deluxe in the 2021 main line. He's a rare case with a Mater being designed with a certain pose in mind, something that they did a lot back in 2010 and has been done occasionally since. But there's something pretty interesting about this Mater. It didn't appear in the movie. Maddie McGear wears a hat incredibly similar to this in the credits of Cars 3, which this Mater is clearly based on, as that Maddie McGear was released in the Fan Favorites line. It seems they combined the concept of Maddie's hat with the hat that Mater with number 95 hat had, and put them together to make this. But, once again, this Mater was not in the movie, which is fine because it was designed for the Fan Favorites line, which is an expanded universe line, but since it made it out into the main line, it's kind of weird to see this Mater with a label on it saying, as seen in Cars 3. But what's especially weird is the fact that of the 4 Mater with hat variants released, 3 of them did not appear on Mater in the movie. The only Mater with hat that features a hat he actually wore is Mater with lightning bolt hat. I don't know why this was done, it's just really strange. Anyway, Mater with 95 and 51 hat is currently the most recent Mater with hat, or Cars 3 Mater variant, we've gotten to this day. Hopefully, when they come back and make more, they'll be hats he actually wore. 2022 would see the release of Cars on the Road, a show originally exclusive to Disney Plus that features Lightning and Mater going on a road trip on their way to Mater's sister's wedding. The show would debut a variety of new looks for McQueen and Mater, but the first piece of Cars on the Road Mater merchandise was a much-needed variant of his regular classic design. In 2022, to coincide with Cars on the Road, Mater finally got a regular color changer. Before this, we'd only ever gotten color changers of brand new Mater, which I speculated in a past episode may have been because brand new Mater is just one flat color and regular Mater isn't. Well, for Cars on the Road, they finally decided to bite the bullet and make a regular color changer Mater, deciding to just make him one flat solid color. Now you may have noticed something a bit interesting about this Mater. That's right, the Color Changers Mater mold is based on Precision Series Mater, or at the very least based on the Diecast line's attempts to replicate Precision Series Mater. Both this Mater, the Color Changers President Mater, and a plastic Mater included in an on-the-road playset use this design as a basis, which is pretty interesting, and it's unknown why they decided to do this for plastic Maters. He released in a $10 color changer pack alongside a little plastic and rubber accessory, a water sprayer designed to look like Sarah Cogs attached to a barrel of water, the pity that upgrades Mater to race on the salt flats in one of the On the Road episodes. Unfortunately, no other Cars on the Road Maters would be released in 2022, other than a re-release of a regular Mater on a Cars on the Road card back that renamed him temporarily to Road Trip Mater. Both regular Mater and Long Hook Mater have been released on the Road packaging, labeled as Road Trip Mater, but there is no difference between the regular releases and this one. But in early 2023, a new Expression variant of Road Trip Mater would be released. This Mater has a very excited face and is raised up. He's very similar to 95 and 51 hat Mater. It looks like he uses the exact same mold as him, but without the hat. And he has a different eye expression as well. In addition to his 2023 single release, you could pick up this Mater in an Amazon exclusive 3-pack alongside McQueen and Ivy, which released in both 2023 and 2024. And it was recently confirmed that this Mater variant would be returning as a single in 2025. Many Cars on the Road items were released as color changers before their regular diecast, something that ended up annoying a lot of fans. And President Mater was no exception. In the Cars on the Road Episode B movie, Lightning and Mater get cast in a movie, with Mater eventually climbing up the ranks until he's cast as the President of the United States. This color changer, which reuses the Precision Series-esque mold of regular color changers Mater, switches from a light blue to an episode-accurate dark blue. 2023 would finally give us some Cars on the Road Maters based on specific episodes. Up first, we got Cryptid Buster Mater. This is a totally geared out Mater based on his look when he's hunting for who he believes is Bigfoot. This Mater has some beautiful mud detailing, plastic accessories, and camouflage designs, as well as a great expression, but he features some interesting color choices for his main body. In Cars media, Mater is a wide variety of different shades of light and dark brown all throughout him. It appears that on this release, they tried to vary Mater's shades a bit more to varying degrees of success. Some areas were made lighter brown, some were made darker brown, but it seems that the lighter areas were made a bit too light in some places, and the darker areas were made a bit too dark in some places. They also didn't change the color of Mater's soft plastic pieces, like his mirrors or his towing assembly, resulting in this Mater having several different, pretty inconsistent colors. And the fan response to this was pretty varied, with some liking this attempt to update Mater, and others not being a fan of it. Road Rumbler Mater would also be released in 2023, shortly after Cryptid Buster Mater. This is what Mater looks like when he and Lightning get geared up to fight in the Thunder Cone, in an area where the cars have become apocalyptic due to a major disagreement. This Mater features a lot of great detailing, like studs all over him, a spiked mace ball for his tow cable, a flamethrower on his roof, and a horn on his side. Much like Cryptid Buster Mater, this Mater uses a variety of lighter and darker shades of brown, with the light shades appearing almost tan and the darker shades appearing almost black. These color choices, as well as Mater's admittedly very large pupils, caused him to be a pretty contentious item in the fanbase, with a lot of people really not liking how he turned out. The Glow Racers line would begin in the fall of 2023, a brand new expanded universe diecast series featuring the first ever fully glow-in-the-dark Cars diecasts, and Mater would be a part of the line's first wave. This line features both racers and Radiator Springs cars geared up as Lightning McQueen's pit crew, with Mater receiving quite the design overhaul, being painted in a vibrant red with yellow Rust-eze logos on his side that glow in the dark. All of Mater's additional plastic pieces, like his engine, rearview mirrors, towing assembly, and wheels, light up, as do his headlights and roof lights, or I guess headlight and all of the roof lights except for the one that is out. This Mater is pretty similar in concept to his 2021 NASCAR variant, but it reuses the mold of Cars 2 Race Team Mater with headset instead of using the NASCAR mold. 2024 would see currently our final two Maters, with both of them being highly anticipated on-the-road Mater variants that people have been begging for since the show first released. Up first, Cave Mater. This is what Mater looks like when he imagines himself and Lightning McQueen as cave cars trying to evade dangerous dinosaur vehicles. Cave Mater is beautifully sculpted, made to look like he was carved from rock, and he was given a matte paint job to boot. He has a lot of fun details, like his rock wheels, and the fact that his tow hook isn't a hook, but is instead just a giant slab of rock made in the shape of a hook. Doesn't seem very practical. And currently, our most recent Mater from Cars on the Road, and just most recent Mater in general, is President Mater. Mr. President here was one of the most hotly anticipated cars since the initial release of Cars on the Road, and he certainly looks great. With a very vibrant shade of blue, a presidential seal on either side, and a very unique facial expression. He also, interestingly, features the new long hook design, just like the 2022 long hook Mater and the 2024 re-release of Easter Mater. Whether or not this will continue to be done for more Maters in the future remains to be seen. And thus concludes a look at every Mater diecast ever made as of late July 2024. Mater is a character with no exception of fun variants. There are so many great ones out there, and there are still so many to make. It's always a bright day when Mattel decides to make a variant of this fan-favorite tow truck, and I have no doubt that we'll see many, many more Maters for years and years to come. But there you have it, guys. That's it. We've now taken a look at every McQueen ever and every Mater ever, the two characters with the most variants out there, period. But, of course, this is only the beginning, and there are still thousands of diecasts left for us to cover here in diecast history, and I'm so excited for what's next. We're finally done with McQueen and Mater, which means it's finally time to move on to the other residents of Radiator Springs. In the next episode, I'll be covering the history of every Sally ever. Sally has quite a few variants, but I think it's enough to fit all of them into just one episode, and then from there we'll be continuing on with all the different cars of Radiator Springs. Some of them will have one episode, some of them will have several. It all depends on how many variants they have. I'm so excited for the future of this series. When I started making it, I knew it would be a huge burden to do every McQueen and every Mater right at the start, but I knew I would feel so free after I talked about all of them because, well, I'll never have to talk about a character with that many variants again. I'm so excited for the future of diecast history, and I hope you guys stick along. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time for the diecast history of Sally. Bye now.